Hello, and welcome to episode 56 of Movies and Us. I am TJ.
And I'm Marcus. Here from your nightmares. I'm kidding. I've been drinking a little bit, guys. I'm sorry.
And this is the review show that reviews genre movies from the beginning, sometimes. Alright, we're still in 2008. We're covering another animated movie here as we cover Justice League: The New Frontier.
The New Frontier. What was last week? Why were we still in I thought this was the first one.
No, was it?
In 2008.
Last week was... You're
Doomsday.
Right. Nope.
Yeah.
We're in 2008.
See, I'm a little tipsy. I caught TJ on a foul. Look at me, guys. I drink some more often.
Like it matters what
That's
year
right.
we're in.
Movies and Us is sponsoring Drinking Heavenly, guys. Drinking Heavenly.
Drinking Heavenly.
Yes.
What is Drinking Heavenly?
It means drinking just the right amount of alcohol so you can correct people on their bullshit, but you still feel good about yourself if they call you out on your bullshit.
So you mean drinking heavily, not heavenly.
Yes.
So Justice League: New Frontier was directed by Dave Bullock. It was written by...
Sorry, continue.
It was written by Stan Rakowski and Darwin Cook. It is starring a whole shitload of people who have distinct voices that really take you out of the movie sometimes.
I didn't have that problem.
I did.
No, I had that problem with no one because I looked up the cast before going into it. If I didn't look beforehand, it would bug the shit out of me.
So we have Jeremy Sisto, who I am not familiar with. So
Where'd you see that name at?
He's Batman.
Oh, okay.
David Boreanaz, who is Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Doing that damn show.
He's also in Bones and Navy SEALs, I think. Miguel Ferreira, who is
Dead.
He was also in NCIS Los Angeles. He was also the bad guy from Blank Check
And RoboCop. He plays his movie in Traffic. We're not doing this. We're not going to go down everyone's IMDb.
He was in Twin Peaks, and I bring that up because Kyle MacLachlan is Superman, who was the main guy from Twin Peaks.
No way.
Yeah. So yeah. And
Small world.
Then we have Neil Patrick Harris.
NPH.
John Hurd. I mean, come on. These voices.
You can't forget Lucy Lawless.
Lucy Lawless, Xena Warrior Princess.
As Wonder Woman. That's like the best casting ever.
I don't know. All I heard was Xena every time she spoke. So
I heard a great Wonder Woman. That's what I heard.
Lex Lang, Bill Morris, Kira Sedgwick, Brooke Shields. What is this? Why did they get all these people for this movie?
Because they knew they were making a masterpiece, so we're going to get the right people. See, I think last week they did the same thing, but I think it just failed. It's the same company too, so that's why they did it. They know it's the beginning of these roots of a more adult animated stuff. So you're just say, let's get the star power into it to secure the animation and the budget for all the stuff we need for later projects. Let us set a name for ourselves now for future endeavors. I don't think it worked well last week because the voices were too distracting, but these ones fit just right in my opinion.
I don't know. So I don't know. We're definitely distracted.
Yeah, we'll get to them, I guess. I didn't care for Batman's voice because that's not the Batman I like, but still was good.
Yeah, that's all the problem I have. A few of the voice actors didn't match with the characters, what you would think they would sound like.
Yes. And I think it's because we have our biases on who we like and what we've heard. And so we know what to kind of expect and hope for. They just didn't have that gravitas of what we wanted. So, Keith David's always Keith David. His voice is always great. Yeah.
Keith David, he's also in it. Joe Alaskey is in it.
That's Bugs Bunny.
That's Bugs Bunny, yep. Jeff Bennett.
Is he the original guy who played Bugs Bunny or no?
I don't think so, but I think he's the newer voice actor.
Yeah.
Jeff Bennett, Corey Bergen.
He's dead too.
No kidding. Bugs Bunny came out in the 40s or 50s or something, didn't it?
Yeah, he died at 63. How'd he die? Let's do some dark searching, guys. You guys continue.
Townsend Coleman's back for this movie. Michelangelo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was in last week's movie.
Go Ninja Turtles.
That is not even close.
What is their
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Is it really that lazy?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They're like, oh god, our due date for the music's done today. Oh guys, what did we come up with? Teenage Mutant. It's pathetic.
Heroes in the Half Shell. Turtle Power.
It's saw that turtle. It's like, oh god, let's think about this turtle real quick. That's
catchy.
funny.
It's a catchy song, actually.
I don't think I've ever heard it before.
You never heard the original animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990s?
Maybe it's just that it's something that hasn't resonated with me. I guess I never cared for the turtles. I think I made that statement before, but it's just that's funny.
Anyway, Townsend Coleman is in this. Keith David is in this. Sean Ellen?
Don and Ellen.
Yeah, there's not even a link to that guy.
Wow.
Robin Atkin Downs. Shane Hobabuchi.
Obabucha. Where you at?
I'm going down the list of people. David Hunt, Vicky Lewis, Joe Megniga.
Oh, you know what that is?
Joe Megniga?
Yeah. He's in a lot. He was in 3 Men and a Baby.
I recognize the face and stuff, but
he's in one of those cop shows currently.
Vanessa Marshall, Jim Meskman, James Arnold.
Sorry, Baby to Stay Out. Not 3 Babies Stay Out. Sorry.
Alan Ritchson, who plays Aquaman in this for like 3 seconds. Actually, the Aquaman from the Smallville TV show.
No way.
Yeah. And the last person who is voice acted in this is John F. Kennedy.
I did think it was. I kind of knew it was him. But at the same time, like me being an asshole, I was like critiquing the voice. Like, they got a really bad guy mimicking John F. Kennedy. And apparently it was him doing it himself.
You know, it was John F. Kennedy. All right. There's no really behind the scenes stuff with this. Straightforward. It's well received. Made a lot of money. Got awarded for a couple awards.
Speaking of making a lot of money, there's no box office for it. Let's talk about box office real quick in 2008. I'm not going to do the top 10 because some movies were cut.
Before you do that, the budget of this movie was $3.5 million. I don't know if I said that. The movie's also an hour and 15 minutes, and this movie is rated PG-13.
And it deserved it. Oh my god! So at number 12 in number 12 in 2008 worldwide box office. Guess what number 12 is?
Don't care.
Guess what vampire movie came out in 2008, TJ?
Morbius.
Twilight, man. Number 13, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Number 14, Slumdog Millionaire. It won Best Picture that year. I mean, number 14, that movie sucks, man. Number 15, Wanted. Number 16, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Number 17 is Bolt. Number 18 is Horton Hears a Who.
Why are you going from 11 to 20?
Because we're at 10 down, we will spoil some of the movies we're going to cover.
Oh, okay. So you're at 18. What's 19 and 20?
Do you care?
No, but you might as well finish it out the numbers.
19 is Gran Torino, super racist movie. And number 20 is 10,000 BC. It's an okay movie.
I've heard of maybe 3 of those movies, and I've seen none of them.
That's crazy. Have you heard of Taken?
I know Liam Neeson's in it, and that's about it.
That's Hookin', number 28. Get it?
No.
Okay. Well, Australia was also nominated for Best Picture. That's number 33. And that was like Hugh Jackman. I think Nicole Kidman in that movie, I believe. Australia movie is like, whatever. It's moving. Ponyo. Is that at
that's a
studio?
Miyazaki film.
Yeah. That made number 5.
You know how I talk about comics and you're like completely lost in the dark? That's how I feel every time you talk about this stuff.
Number 41. We'll get to, I don't know if we'll cover these movies or not, but Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
We'll cover them when we do the other rounds.
That made 41, a sequel movie. You would think that would have gotten higher. But I remember those movies weren't like really an audience fit. That's weird.
All right, are you done with the box office yet?
Pineapple Express came out that year for 64. Step Brothers came out at, I just saw it. Step Brothers at, hold on please, 54. Rambo. Say that word.
Rambo,
John Rambo. Came out 58.
All right, with all that out of the way, we're ready to jump back into this movie?
Heck yeah.
Well, too bad. I got trailers for you.
You got trailers to an animated movie?
Yeah, because I have the commemorative edition of Justice League New Frontier with the Blu-ray and DVD.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, okay.
So I got trailers. By the way, just so you know, this version of the movie was released in 2017, so the trailers are going to reflect that.
That's fascinating, because did it mention that in the our research page?
Well, no, the Blu-ray version I had was released in 2017. The movie was released in 2008.
No, I know, but I know it was re-released in 2020 on Cartoon Network again. But like, I didn't know
it was re-aired.
Yeah.
On Cartoon Network, but there's like a bunch of home media different releases that happened. It was released on regular DVD, then HD DVD, then Blu-ray, so forth and so forth.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of different ones. So the first trailer I got is for the Wonder Woman animated movie.
We haven't seen this one yet, have we?
No, and it's actually coming up real soon, so I'm actually surprised they gave me a trailer for it.
Well, being like, why are you surprised by that?
Because, like I said, this came out in 2017, so there's a trailer for a movie from 2009.
Oh, what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I guess they're like, hey guys, remember this movie we released? Go buy it. So I get why they did it.
Yeah. I also got a trailer for Batman and Harley Quinn, the animated movie.
Nice. That one's newer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the 2017
one. Yeah.
I will say, from the trailer that I watch on it, Harley Quinn's voice is really annoying.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It's that really deep Brooklyn accent.
Oh, yeah.
And it's super, super irritating.
Yes. No, thank you. Are we just making fun of these people who have that accent?
No, I mean, it's just, it's like intentionally like that way. When it's a Brooklyn accent, when it's spoken naturally, is fine. But this one feels like it's put on.
Yeah, I can agree with that, actually. Like, if I'm talking to someone face to face who has it, whatever. But if you were making that accent right now, like, don't do this.
Yeah. And for some reason, I got a trailer for the Injustice 2 video game.
Oh, cool.
And then we get into the live action theater. I got a trailer for Wonder Woman, the live action version.
That's a movie.
And then Justice League.
It's such a good movie. It's such a good movie that we're going to review it soon, and I cannot wait.
And then the last thing I got a trailer for was an animated movie called Gotham by Gaslight. You have no idea what that is?
What's it supposed to mean?
It is Batman versus Jack the Ripper. It takes place in takes place in 1800s London.
I feel you're the kind of person who cares about Jack the Ripper.
What do you mean?
I feel like you're the kind of person who's obsessed with the real identity, and it wasn't a man or woman or shit like that.
Not really.
No, okay. I personally couldn't care.
No, I mean, I don't like stories, and I know it's not a story; it's a real thing. But I don't like stories that don't have an ending.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what that is too. It's just an open-ended. So do you care about the DB Cooper shit? DB Cooper, the guy that robbed a bank, I think, and then was on a plane and jumped from the plane, and they never found where he landed, and he just got away with it.
Know what I know about that?
What I just told you?
No, it was a scene in Thor Ragnarok.
Was it?
Yeah, was it Ragnarok? It was one of the Thor movies where Loki was DB Cooper.
Yeah, wasn't that the show?
Oh, was it the show?
I want to say so.
Well, that's what I know about DB Cooper.
Yeah, it sounds like something the show would have done.
Maybe it was the show. Anyway, so that's why DB Cooper is never found, because it's actually Loki.
It's funny. The most I know from DB Cooper is from media too, so I can't judge you for that because I never looked into it because I don't care.
I don't care either, so who cares?
Yeah, people that waste their time with that kind of shit are the same people who waste times with reviewing movies.
Yeah, no, those idiots. All right, diving into this movie.
Was that your last trailer?
Yeah, Gotham by Gaslight was the last trailer.
Okay.
Diving into this movie proper. And so, I went and read the comics for this.
Are there specific comics for this episode?
The
for
New
this
Frontier,
movie?
And this is a strange thing. Because this movie's an adaptation of a comic that's a reimagining of classics Silver Age heroes.
Yeah.
So it's not even like it's canon or anything, the story.
It's just
right. So
a love letter.
Kind of. It's this movie. The structure of this movie is different from the comics.
Yeah.
Because the comics are 6 80-page comics, and it spans from the 1950s to 1960s, from when Hal Jordan was a child until when he grows up.
So is it his story for the most part, I guess?
He's the main character, yes.
Okay.
But they put some of the scenes that were in the comics as news stories in this. They didn't really dive into them.
Yeah.
But the whole framing device is different. The movie opens up with a narration about the center.
The center, the center. Wait, are we doing a movie review now, or?
I'm just explaining. The movie
Oh, okay.
opens up with the first
Oh, the
scene.
center. Oh, okay. I think you mean like somewhere else. Yeah.
You know, like the center of is the villain in this. It opens up
Yes.
with the center here and about a children's author writing the story, his last story, and then he commits suicide.
Yes.
That happens in the comics too, but not like this. The narration's not there. The center doesn't even show up until the last two comics in the actual comic story.
Okay.
It focuses more on the superheroes during the McCarthy era, where McCarthy was, accusing people of commies and stuff. It's the same thing here. They pretty much wiped out superheroes.
Which I like that they kind of like yada over that in the opening credits, personally.
And they but it was like Superman and Wonder Woman took oaths of loyalty to America. That's why they were able to operate. But all the other masked individuals and stuff like that either retired or got killed or got thrown away. Mm-hmm. And they don't really focus on any of that in here. The only one that really still stuck around was Batman.
Because it's Batman, that's why.
And they sent Superman after him in the comics, and Batman's Batman, so he used kryptonite to stop him. Or so we thought, but apparently the two were working together.
Of course.
And Superman wasn't a pawn of America like I thought they were going for in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's very weird. I'm going to talk about the differences as we go through it. But honestly, this is, except for the framing device and the center being known right from the beginning, because the whole thing is the government against the heroes.
Yeah.
And the only way that they're going to be reaccepted in the world is when they're needed. And then the center shows up and they're needed. And then, so the world accepts heroes again. So that's the story. It's
simple.
Well, it's messed up because they're only people when they're useful, Yeah,
allegories, man. Weird. Right.
But that's what this whole thing is an allegory. And this movie doesn't really show that part of it.
You don't think so?
It does to a little bit. It tries.
It tells more than shows.
Yes.
That part.
It's not bad but it's an adaptation that it just couldn't fit into an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is crammed together. And there are some scenes that are changed, essentially, to fit the story narrative, so forth and so forth. But a lot of it is just pulled right from the comics.
I mean, it works for me, though, overall.
I'm not saying it's bad. But sometimes it's panel for panel.
Yeah.
Out of the comics. They pulled a lot of the story from it. It's just, I'm just explaining the differences.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if you really want to go in depth with this, you should probably just go read the comics and watch the movie for yourself and see the differences.
I was going to say that later in the review, probably near the end. Originally, it's like, this movie's an hour 14. This does a lot in an hour 14, but it could have easily been a 2-3 hour movie or 2-2-hour movies. It could have easily been a series. It could have been easily just longer and more in depth.
Yeah.
I'm glad it went the route of being an hour 14 because it got in, got out. And I'm glad you're telling me all this comic book stuff now because it's pretty much saying if you want to learn more, go read the books. So exactly. I like that it did it this way. I like this.
This isn't bad. This is actually pretty good. I find some of the voice acting distracting, but whatever. But it's a good movie, and if you don't want it spoiled, leave now.
56 movies into the reviews, we're going to now say spoiler warning.
Yeah, but we have
these people. You don't give a shit.
But like this, I feel like this is a movie no one's really went out of their way to see. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Yeah, we're not going to do a non-spoiler review of this, so It's a good movie. Go see it first, then come back and watch it. It's on HBO Max. Going to watch it, or go download it legally. I don't care, but go watch it first. Go read the comics first, and then come back and listen to us.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think anyone's gone out of the way to check this movie out. Like, everyone's seen all the Batman live action movies and stuff, and all the Superman. So it's like, if you're coming into a review of that, you're getting spoiled. That's on you at that point. But this is kind of obscure enough that I feel, and good enough that I feel like people should actually go watch it.
Yes, I agree with that.
And I want to give them a chance to actually go watch it.
I respect that. Because, this is, it's only an hour of your life. That's the best part about this movie. It's only an hour. Does it feel like it? It's great.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into it. So we open up with the narration of, like I said. Then we cut over to a stylized open where, it's a long credits open with, it looks like paper cardboard cutouts of things.
Yeah, it's just references like this. How would you phrase that? Not references, not callback as a callback of how they used to animate stuff back then, and
Well,
that
it is definitely
stylized.
It's definitely stylized, and it's the animation style of the comic itself, kind of.
Yes,
So,
of like I guess you said what the 50s, 60s,
yes,
40s.
definitely 60s, because I think this is before JFK. Because then JFK comes along, and then there's the whole
Yeah.
space race and stuff like that, so forth and so forth. Because they're still talking about the Russians beating them to space and stuff.
Yes, man, what a time to be white. I was gonna say what time to be alive, but like I'm black. I can't go back then. No way.
Well, there's a part in this that we'll talk about.
The character.
There's a character in this that's not expanded upon in this movie that is in the comics that I'll tell you
Sadly,
about.
I wonder why.
So,
It's uncomfortable for people to read about it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I don't know, there's some uncomfortable things in here. Like, I'm watching one right now.
Yeah, there are. There really are. It's like, man, this movie. I think it was a nice surprise going in, not knowing it was.
As dark as it was?
Yeah, PG-13.
Yeah.
Because the first time we see blood, like, oh, what? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really dark scene. Like, wow.
And that's coming up right now.
Yep.
So we're in Korea, and Lois
July
Lane...
27th, 1953, to be exact.
We're in Korea, and Lois Lane comes over the radio and announces, hey, the war's over. But not everybody knows the war's over. So the two Americans, Hal Jordan and I think it's Ace Morgan,
His name is Ace, yeah.
are up in their ships, just flying around. And they start to get attacked by Korean planes because they don't know the war's over. I don't know if they tell you in this movie, but they definitely tell you in the comics.
I mean, we can see that. They don't know the war's over.
And Hal Jordan, who is, if you don't know, you probably know if you listen to any of these reviews before, because I've explained the Green Lanterns like 30 times, but Hal Jordan is the first space cop Green Lantern in comic books.
He's the what? First what?
Space cop Green Lantern.
Space cop, okay.
Yes. Alan Scott's technically the first Green Lantern, but he was more magic-based than a space cop, so...
Magic the Gathering?
Magic the Gathering sucks, alright?
How dare you just isolated like half our audience.
It's okay. But Hal is a pacifist at this point. He's very skilled at flying, and he usually flies other people, the other enemy planes, into his allies, and they get shot down by their allies and stuff like that. But he's never killed anybody himself.
It's really cool.
His plane gets shot down by the Koreans, and he pulls the parachute, and he's going to a trench, and he lands right on top of a Korean soldier.
I like that he aims for the person, too.
Yeah. He's just some random Korean soldier on a crate
Just
in a
clean his gun.
trench for no reason.
It's just la 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 la. It's like bam, boot to the face. It's great.
And the two get in a fight, and Hal's trying to tell him the war's over, but he doesn't speak English. He only speaks Korean. So,
Even if he spoke Korean, I don't think he would care. Like maybe that's a lie.
but Hal's forced to murder him. Shoots him right in the head, and we see it.
Yeah. There's blood on his face. You see the brain. You don't visually see the brains, but because it's a cascade and shadow. But you see his
The
head
shot, he explodes.
blow
It
apart.
explodes.
It's amazing. It's great. It's like that's the standards of like, wow, this movie is going to be more darker than you expect.
And
Before we go ahead, sorry, I do love a lot when I heard Lois Lane's voice on the radio that the world is all interconnected and is lived in. Like it feels like that's how the world would be. I like that.
yeah, they did that in the comics a lot too. She's very prevalent throughout as far as her being a newscaster and stuff like that. Anyway, so we cut over to the Gotham City Observatory, where a scientist has accidentally transported a Martian from Mars to his observatory.
How? We don't know. It just happens.
Well, this is taken right out of Detective Comics. This is the Martian Manhunter's origin story.
Okay.
Yeah, where he just have a machine that he was using, and it brings him to Earth, and it gives the guy a heart attack.
That's sad.
And then the Martian Manhunter takes his identity and stuff like that.
It's another thing I enjoy about this movie. It shows us all the characters, and we don't need origin stories. I mean, this is kind of an origin story, but it's not really an origin 3-hour story, so it's great.
And John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, especially in the comic version of it, is definitely, the anticipation, not the anticipation, the fears of the people who are of different color skins at the time.
Oh yeah, yes.
You know what I mean?
Which is funny because I thought like I found that weird that they made him
like
have
if
white characteristics when he turns to himself.
he looks at like what's going on in the world, and if they treat the like in the comic, it's like we'll get to it later. But if they treat black people of their own race like that, what do they treat an alien like me like? You know?
Yeah.
So
he's the embodiment of the fears.
Yeah. So he takes on a form that would be more accepted, which is a white guy. So
that's fair, I guess.
But before we get to that, because that doesn't happen here, we go over to Indochina, where Superman is flying over and he sees a bunch of murdered men being burnt and like drowned and stuff. He busts into this like hut thing where a bunch of women are celebrating with Wonder Woman.
So good. They made her big too in this.
Yeah.
Like I never see her drawn big really. So like she's drawn as an Amazonian. It's great. She's taller than Superman, for crying out loud.
But yeah, she was all right. So they cut out a lot of Wonder Woman stuff in this from the comics.
Lame. So she's so cool.
They it's like she was originally coming here to under the guise of humanitarian aid, because Superman and Wonder Woman are always involved in like the wars and stuff undercover as humanitarian aid, but they're really there as secrets, doing secret things for America. So because of the fishy things, and she was there for a similar thing. She did her mission. She saved like a helicopter full of soldiers, and then she came back because these men had murdered a village of all their men, and then kept the women in cages, and were sexually abusing them, using them as cattle,
which is pretty damn awful.
Yeah, and so Wonder Woman shows up. She beats up all the guys, takes all their guns. She doesn't kill them. Then she frees the women, and she says, "Here are the guns. Do what you want." And she lets the women murder all the men.
Man, wherever your morals lay, they lay. I think that's awesome. I think that's how.
Yeah, but Superman is outraged by this.
Understandably.
And he's like, "We took an oath." And she's like, "This isn't. These people are corrupt. Essentially, we need a real leader. These people are just using us essentially for this."
Yeah, a lot of exposition happens.
And what was I supposed to do? Just let this happen?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't kill them. I gave the women the choice, and they made their choice. So I'm gonna just get all the Wonder Woman stuff they cut out of the way.
Yeah.
So because it's not in this. So later on, they're giving Wonder Woman a medal, and she's about to make a speech about peace and stuff like that. And then Richard Nixon says that's enough. Cuts her off.
Tricky dick.
And then, like, she's talking to one of the government officials in the White House, and she's like, "Yeah, Diana, why don't you just take a vacation? We'll call you." They essentially fire her from her job without telling anybody, and so they told her to go home, and that's why she goes back to Themyscira.
Yeah.
They don't tell you that in this. They just show this scene, and then the next time we see her, she's on Themyscira.
That makes sense. Yeah, because like, why she leave her duties? Like, that makes sense now.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, that's all they cut out, but it's kind of important to her plot. So
very important,
and her character development throughout.
Would you call is that ironic? I guess I know it's life imitating art right there, because they cut the female subplot out because reasons.
Yeah, I don't know.
All the guys in their show and the art was like, that's enough of you. It's irony, isn't it? That's something.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really want to dive into it.
You brought it up and it's part of the thing. How are you not gonna dive into it? I'm not saying WB is or people are sexist. It's just funny that if they try to cut down for time or whatever reason they cut it out for, they cut her stuff out instead of someone else's stuff.
Yeah, but there could be 1,000 reasons. Maybe they only had Lucy Lawless for a little while.
Yeah,
or something.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not calling them.
Yeah, and I agree.
Sexist.
It's ironic. So, but
yeah.
I don't have all the facts behind what happened.
It's just ironic that they did that to her.
Yeah. Anyway, after the Wonder Woman and Superman scene where Superman tries to, lecture Wonder Woman and he's wrong, we cut over to Martian Manhunter.
Is he though wrong though? Like I totally agree with what she did and how she did. Like I agree with her. I back her. I would be on her camp. But he's not wrong to having his beliefs.
No, he's not wrong in the fact that the murderer in part was it, but the fact that he's pretty much playing a puppet stooge for the government.
Oh, okay. That part's wrong in his aspect.
Yes, and this movie doesn't do a good job of rectifying that in the comic. They explain later that Superman was the inside man for him and Batman were working together, and he was the inside man trying to keep things in check, and they were working together to try and make things better. But they don't do that in this.
It's pretty much Civil War, but DC's version.
Not really.
Oh, the movie, I'm saying.
I'm not following.
Tony Stark, Iron Man.
Yeah, but they were definitely on opposite sides.
Yeah, I feel like
there was no plan there. They weren't working together. They were actually fighting each other. Whereas this was premeditated between Superman and Batman. Superman is working for the government to be an inside guy, trying to make things better, while Batman is able to do what he does on the outside.
Yeah, opposite sides. Yeah,
but they're still working together. Whereas it was a plan to be on opposite sides, whereas Iron Man and Captain America were on opposite sides.
Wait, it was a plan to be on opposite sides. So Superman planned to be.
Yeah, he took the oath. He actually did when Superman was set after Batman. They staged that whole fight that Batman actually got away by using kryptonite.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, because they didn't explain it in this. They staged that entire fight so that Superman could so that Batman could still work and still be a criminal on the outside. Meanwhile, Superman's working with the government on the inside. You know what I mean?
He's working with the government on the inside as again intelligence from the government and feeding us to Batman.
He's helping Batman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't say that. Okay, gotcha.
I thought
you were saying he's working on the inside as in just working on the inside of the Justice League to defeat this government. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, they were definitely working together the entire time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyway, so the Martian Manhunter is living the professor's life, and he's...
What's he with the body?
I don't know. Don't tell us. Maybe he buried it.
Maybe he ate it.
I doubt that. Although, I will admit, when you asked me that question, that was the first thing I was going to say.
He ate
it?
Yeah. He's an alien. Maybe he did eat shit like that. Who knows?
Anyway, so the Martian Manhunter is playing the professor, and he's buying groceries, and he's scared of the cops because of the worries. So he goes home afterwards and starts watching TV, as you said, and there's a news report talking about an island full of dinosaurs that just disappeared.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. That's where that came from later on?
You didn't hear that news report?
What? No.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came over the news before he starts changing the channels.
Hold on, I'm watching it right now. Hold on. Don't talk. The down pilot insists the island was teeming with dinosaurs. Okay. I thought that was the movie he was watching, but now that you say it that way, I thought that makes so much more sense.
Yeah. Know how I knew it wasn't just the movie?
Because you read the comics?
Because I read the comics.
Yeah.
And that's essentially the prologue. The very first thing we see is a group of Silver Age, maybe it's Golden Age heroes called the Losers. They're like a military band.
Uh-huh.
And they're sent to this island to rescue Rick Flag, who is the pilot with Hal Jordan when they go up to space. The guy who trained Hal for that. Rick Flag was trying to transport a Nazi scientist to America because all the Nazis scientists were being scooped up by the different countries at the time.
Yes, I think it's great.
But they got stranded on this island full of dinosaurs. And so they sent these guys in, and one by one, they start to die until the last one finds Rick Flag, gets him on a raft. But he says, all my friends got killed by these dinosaurs, so I'm going to go take revenge because I'm an idiot.
Of course.
And so Rick Flag gets away, and then he goes, and he gets hurt, and he's face-to-face with a T-Rex. And so he takes 2 grenades, jumps in his mouth, and explodes.
It happens later in the movie.
Yeah, that's where they stole that scene from, because that's not how that character actually dies in the comic.
Of course not. But funny that you bring this island up. Like everything you just mentioned right there is a plot to King Kong Skull Island. That's a down fighter jet goes down missing. They don't follow that fighter jet, but years later, fighters go to the island for some reason, I forget. And one by one, they get picked off by dinosaurs and the big ape. That's hilarious.
I didn't realize it until I saw the Martian Manhunter in that scene in this movie.
Yeah.
But the island's actually the bad guy. It's the center. So I didn't pick that up until right now.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't pick it up until because it was by the time I had gotten to that point in the comics, it was like 300 pages ago.
Oh yeah.
And I was reading one a day.
That's fair.
So I was like, okay, So it'll piece together. But yeah, that was so, and it was like 20 pages. This whole island scene and stuff like that. It's all just cut and compressed right into this one new story.
Just that one dialogue line right there.
And if you look in the background, a lot of times you'll see like news clippings of other things happening.
Yeah.
All the stuff happened in the comics too.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so this movie, like you said, could have been a way longer.
But it would have suffered, I think, from that. So this being this movie, how it turned out is fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Perfectly
this is fine.
Yeah. Well, it could have been longer. I think that would have suffered. It could have been a show.
Yeah.
It could have been like a little miniseries. I think it'd been great.
Yeah. But as the Martian Manhunter is watching TV, he's flipping channels, and he starts shape-shifting into different characters, one of which is Bugs Bunny. I recognize the other characters she shape-shifted into, but I don't know the names off the top of my head.
I couldn't tell you. It's again before my time, so.
Yeah. One of them was a comedian guy, like the Groucho Marco, or maybe
Groucho Marx.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I forget what the third one was. He changed.
The Native American at the end.
The Native American with the tear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how he learns about our society. I like it. And then we get to Lois Lane and Superman.
Sitting on top of the Daily Planet. This was added to the movie. This wasn't in the comics.
I like it.
So.
But does she know who he is, though? His personal identity? Or
probably not. They don't go into it.
The more I learn about Superman and his history and like watch these movies, the less I don't like him and her together. I don't like their...
That's because you haven't actually seen them together in a capacity where she actually knows his secret. And
yes. Like, I don't mind her learning his secret and knowing it consistently, but like every time we've seen it so far, she knows it. And she doesn't know it. She knows it. He makes her forget it. It's like, can we not do this game every time?
The Superman-Lois relationship is really good when they're married and they know each other. And it's good in the comics. And there's a few TV shows that focus on it, which are pretty good too.
I don't know. I need to see that done proper in these movies.
Well, maybe we will get it in the animated side of things.
I hope so. Because it's will they won't they? I hate will they won't they?
Yeah,
and that's I don't need that in my life.
No, it's they keep going back to the well essentially.
In the worst way.
So they're talking about essentially it's Wonder Woman is wrong and there's all these you need to be a leader, Clark, and McCarthy's evil and stuff like that. I didn't like the scene because it felt very
preachy,
America propaganda-y.
Yeah. Yes.
And so that was my problem with it. And because it didn't feel like the rest of the show, which is because it wasn't in the comic.
Yeah.
So after that, we cut over to Las Vegas. Where Hal Jordan and his friend Ace are, just gambling and stuff, but we get Iris West interviewing this
he's like a jazz singer, comedian, a Vegas regular.
Okay. I wasn't sure who he was. But he's hitting on her and she's like, yeah, go away. And he goes to his show and then she calls her boyfriend Barry Allen, the Flash. And while she's on the phone with him, Flash villain Captain Cold breaks into the casino and freezes her hand and
murders the guy.
Murders a guy, and it's bad things. And since the Flash is on the phone, he knows of it, and he's there in an instant. And he's about to beat him up, but Captain Cold's like, "Nope, I planted bombs all around Las Vegas," which makes no sense.
Why not?
This whole thing makes no sense because Captain Cold came to Las Vegas to get away from the Flash.
Yes.
So he wasn't expecting the Flash to be there.
But he was, because that's his villain. That's his enemy, I guess. And also he knows that the other heroes have been dismantled, right? Besides Batman. But he doesn't know Batman's not going to be over here. Batman's territory is mostly Gotham.
But
so it's a quick snatch.
Superman's still around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah. He plants bombs around in case the Flash shows up?
Well, I guess because he knows Superman's not as fast as the Flash.
Well, he's not, but he's almost just as fast.
Yeah, so he's banking on Superman if Superman shows up. I don't know, man.
No, I don't think he is.
It's not.
Whatever, Flash shows up, disables the bombs, and beats up Captain Cold. And and it starts to snow in Vegas because there were cryo bombs that he used because, he's Captain Cold. And they exploded in the sky, and thus it's snowing in the desert.
Oh, we
It's,
also
it's actually a pretty good Flash moment. I'm not going to lie.
It's great.
It's just a little nonsensical.
Yeah, the Flash is great. All the characters are great in this. But we'll also get a glimpse into the center mind-controlling people.
I was about to get to that.
Okay.
So, after he defeats Captain Cold, the Center starts speaking through Captain Cold, which is not in the comics.
No.
The Center doesn't speak through anything. The Center literally shows up in the last two comics as a threat to bring everybody together, which I like the comics better because of the narrative. But this, like I said, this isn't terrible. It's just it needs to be squeezed in, so they needed a different narrative structure.
But I like that they added it in it this way. It's like a foreboding presence throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And laying down hints and clues. I like that. Because it's like, okay, there's a threat here. It's not coming out of nowhere. They all have encountered him somehow. And they're all thinking, and we're very curious about what it is. And when it finally happens, like, oh shit, that's the thing. Let's go deal with that thing, guys.
Yeah, and
so I like that.
And normally I would agree with you. It's just the comics, the pacing and the structure of it and the story it was told is better in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And that's why I keep kind of harping on it, because the comics are better.
Of course they are. You give anything more time, and usually it's going to turn out better, especially when you give it more time and care about it.
That's not true, though.
If you care about the time you give it. If you give it 60 episode issues, how many episode issues there were, and you actually pre-plan it out and do it proper, then it's going to be better.
See,
if you give it 60 issues and just half-ass it, it's going to be worse.
Like, I normally agree with you. Like, the book's always going to be better than the adaptation. But Game of Thrones proved me wrong. Those books are terrible. I hate those books. The show is
yeah, exactly. The show terrible too. At the end, it was good to a point, but like
no.
2/3 of it's good.
I wouldn't even argue that I actually liked the ending. I don't know what people's problems were with the ending, but anyway, but the show worked way better. I just was gonna leave off the last couple seasons, but
you can't do that.
But like the first 5 seasons or so of Game of Thrones compared to the books are way better. So I was like, that's always my go-to example, that sometimes the adaptation is better.
Yeah. And I would never say anything's always better because it's a blanket statement. A blanket statement's always bad, except for that blanket statement. So I would never say always the books are better, but I say majority of the time they're better.
Yeah, but like I said, sometimes, and this isn't even bad.
No, it's not.
Just different because of the time constraints.
Yeah, but the difference in this isn't bad. If that makes sense. Like how they did the center in this is good, especially for someone who like me who didn't read the comics and just saw it this way. I have no issues with this at all. If the center would have came in last second, like it would have been an average boss fight. Like there's nothing special to this. So
and like
they
said,
did it this way properly.
For this movie, it works, but like from the story, I'm just kind of lamenting the story it could have been.
I know, and I think that's a downfall.
Anyway, so after the whole Flash thing, Hal's driving like a maniac. Like in the comics, they show him being reckless a lot, and I guess this is their one scene to show us that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so his friend Ace takes him to Ferris Airfield, where he's going to start his future, essentially. And we cut back over to John Jones, who's still watching TV, and he comes across Private Detective, essentially, movie, and he decides, hey, that's who I'm going to be. But my problem with this is he takes the identity of the guy from the TV.
Yeah.
He should at least changed a little bit there.
Because you think someone's going to pick up, like, isn't that Tom Cruise, guys? That's Tom Cruise playing Tom Cruise, right, guys? There's no way someone's not going to notice that.
Yeah.
I don't care how old the damn movie is. Even some film nerd, like, that's so-and-so. I agree. That's, like, the only issue with that. But it's a cool concept, I guess.
Yeah. Then we cut over to Hal Jordan have an interview / date with Carol Ferris, the owner of Ferris Airfields. And
are they all, so far, is everyone mentioned so far in the comic?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody in this animated movie is from the comic who was a reimagining character from the actual comics.
Reimagining of the... Okay, gotcha.
Because, like, Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris, even, I think to this day, are an item in the comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so stuff like that. So they like taking classic stories and stuff and just, they reimagine it for this story.
Okay.
And so, she's like interviewing him, and then she tells him she's got the job, and he's like, "Hey, you want to date?" Essentially, and she's like, "I don't date employees," and I don't. And then he says, "I don't date. I'll start for 2 weeks." Okay, we can do this then.
Loopholes.
Then we cut over to John Jones as a detective, and I mentioned it in my notes a little later. I'm gonna say it here though. But time is severely compressed in this movie
Yes.
because years pass between scenes sometimes, like whole years.
Yeah.
Because like the last time we seen John Jones, he just turned to this private detective, but
Yes.
now he's working with an actual cop.
Which I wouldn't mind. It caught me off guard, and I wouldn't mind it usually if they would just give me like a little year text. Oh, this is 19, whatever the hell. Now.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
and
gotcha.
in the comics, they did that. They said 1955, 1960. They really needed to tell us when the years were in this because they jumped years and years.
It's weird because they did it for the first two sequences. They did 1944 for the Hal Jordan and flying, and 1944 when Wonder Woman showed up, and that's the last time they did it. This is definitely a scene you would need that because how did he become a cop all of a sudden? Like I don't know, like what happens?
But anyway, John Jones is in the car with this cop that we never learn the name of in this animated. I'll tell you who he is in a moment, though. They're going to this church because John Jones has hunches. He can actually read minds and stuff. So if you don't know about the Martian Manhunter, but apparently a child's been kidnapped. They don't tell you that in this either. Mm-mm. They're going to save a kid who has been captured by a cult. And the cult's a big part of the story.
You can tell
in the comics. So it's like, okay, so we don't know. But anyway, the cop that John Jones is partner with here is named Slam Bradley.
Slam what?
Slam Bradley.
Slam.
Yes. SLAM.
Someone named their child Slam?
Slam Bradley.
Someone named their child Slam. Someone was watching wrestling or was at Denny's getting the Grand Slam. Like, that's a great name for my child. Slam Bradley.
Slam Bradley.
That's terrible. They couldn't even say.
Will you let me finish and explain this?
No. My dad's name is Sam. Let's name our son Sam. No. Let's name him Slam instead. Yeah, that's different and unique.
There's a reason why his name is Slam.
It's probably something really stupid, isn't it?
Well, Slam Bradley is
Stop it.
The first big detective guy from Detective Comics.
Okay.
He's the headliner from the very first issue of Detective Comics. He's the originator of everything, essentially.
Yes.
And, and this was 1937, where big burly guys and fighting people and stuff was a big thing. So Slam in 1937 is not actually a name that wouldn't be ridiculous.
No, it's still ridiculous. If his name was Edward, a.k.a. Slam Bradley, then sure. But if his name is truly Slam Bradley on his damn birth certificate, that is ridiculous. Because how are you going to know my kid's going to be a big burly man when he gets older? I don't know. Was it betting all my apples in that basket? That's stupid.
Maybe his dad was a mobster named Muggsy.
That's so dumb.
Just saying, for 1937, the name is not ridiculous.
It's very ridiculous. It's very ridiculous. That's a word, not a name.
Well, apparently it's a name. People name their children Hope and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a terrible name too. Faith? Come on, it's stupid.
Precious?
Yeah. Any word that's a name is ridiculous. That's my stance on life right there.
Anyway, while Marcus alienates a portion of the universe here, let's continue on.
The sentence people. You can line them up in a row and you got a sentence. That's stupid.
So, John Jones and Slam Bradley break into this church to try to stop this cult, and they find Batman kicking the crap out of them.
It's great.
And
going back to the cult real quick, I like that they didn't really... Again, I like how fast-paced this movie is. I like how it says, like, it started fast-paced. I mean, I'm not saying fast-paced. I like how compressed, like you said, it is. It starts that way, it continues that way, it ends that way. So I enjoy that there's a cult out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, it shows that the world's living and breathing. I like that. I kind of wish it was more recurring in the movie, but it doesn't have time for that. So I appreciate how they did it.
But the Batman design is like 1937 Batman design with the giant pointy ears.
The gloves on his hand.
Yeah. But, they beat them up, they save the kid, and then Batman scares a kid, because that's important for later. And one of the cult gets possessed by the Center, which didn't happen in the comics, but who cares?
I like it.
And, more foreshadowing. We cut over to Hal Jordan being trained by Colonel Rick Flag by being jumped in a what is that thing? A diving bell?
It looks like it, and it's just getting dropped thousands of feet down into a pit of water. It's great. It's cool. I want to try it.
So they're training them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's pretty tough and stuff. He's probably the best we have here." And so Carol Ferris? Yeah, Carol Ferris shows Hal Jordan the real program, an underground bunker. And in the comics, between the training scene to this scene is like 100 pages.
Jesus.
There's a lot more development going on. There's a lot more training and stuff. A lot of things happen in between.
Understandable.
But yeah. So, in the they go to the underground bunker, and this is where I wrote, time is really compressed because they mentioned years pass.
Yeah.
And Hal Jordan is being briefed on what the actual mission is by a man named Faraday. I'm not going to get into him here.
Why not?
Because I didn't do the research.
Oh. Because he obviously has a big thing to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's... From what I remember offhand, I think he was the leader of Checkmate, a spy organization.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's just the big head military honcho in this comic.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? He's the high classified secrets guy.
Yes. Tough and rugged, but nice on the inside.
And
yeah.
they didn't go into this in the movie, but him, Rick Flag, Ace, and Hal Jordan's father all worked together in the wars and stuff before his dad died in a plane accident. I don't think they tell you that either.
Not really. I think they kind of allude to some of this stuff, but not really. You got to know your stuff to make sure you like to know that.
So Faraday briefs Hal Jordan and he tells him, you know, a couple years ago, Martian was summoned to Earth by a scientist. We found the body, but we don't know what happened to the Martian. So we're going to go to Mars and find out. And that's the big thing. They're building a rocket to go to Mars.
Which is logical, I guess.
I mean, I guess. They don't really have spaceships. They just built one to go to Mars.
Trying to beat the Ruskies, man.
Yeah, apparently. Then we go over to Batman breaking into John Jones' apartment.
He's Batman. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
And he's like, hey, I know you're an alien. Well, I don't know what you are or where you're from, but I know you're something different. But I trust you. So you're going to do my job for me and go take after this cult stuff.
I like how you phrased that.
Well, that's what they do in this. I mean, it makes more sense in the comic because they each have a piece of the puzzle. Like, John Jones finds the Colt's book in there, and Batman had found the amulet that off of one of the guys. Batman's like, my investigation can't go any further, so here, take this amulet, see if you can do something, because I think you have the information you need. And John Jones realized the amulet is a key to unlock the book. He unlocks it, and it's just tales about the center.
Oh, okay.
So the book pretty much tells different stories about the center, whereas the children's book from the beginning is the big Deus Ex Machina about the war drop, and this one, you know.
Yeah.
So we go from that to
Gorilla Grodd.
Well, not really. A robot Gorilla Grodd.
We don't know it's a robot until the thing happens, but Gorilla Grodd.
So the Flash shows up to try and take him. The Gorilla Grodd head explodes, and the government tries to capture the Flash.
Tries. He almost had him.
Yeah, and he's like...
This is Men in Black, by the way. It's great.
He's like, you're government property now. And he's like, why? And then they try to shoot him with something, and he disappears. Flash disappears.
He does his famous move very fastly. My molecules make me disappear.
So the soldier that was about to shoot Flash was actually Faraday in the comic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I don't know why they changed that. Because it leads to a tense scene between them at the end.
I guess they didn't want to add... I guess this was made for TV, I guess, right?
I guess. It was on Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah, so I guess adding these extra plots, they didn't want to go over too far. It's an hour and 14, so I guess it's an hour and 30, including commercials. So I guess they didn't want to go more than that, so they had to cut a lot of stuff out.
So we cut back over to John Jones, and he's been, doing alien investigations stuff. So he's kind of the X-File guys in the department.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the cops goes, hey, this guy over here is ranting and raving about things. You want to talk to this guy? And he's like, the center's coming. Are you here to kill me? I got to go to Mars. The government's going to Mars, and they won't let me go. This is different, too.
Okay.
So the guy actually escaped from Faraday as a scientist. He knows nothing about the center. And it's just he escaped from him, and he knows about the Mars plan and stuff. Well, all this is just essentially to get John Jones to realize, hey, there's a rocket going to Mars. I can go home.
Yeah, it's great. It works.
And then we get another news report about John Henry Irons.
Uh-oh.
So, John Henry Irons was a big part of the comic, too.
He's always a big part of a lot of comics, I feel.
So, he was in Missouri or someplace down south. He took his big hammer and he started to beat up the KKK.
Yeah!
He kept doing it. He was a pain in their ass for a long time.
Them KKKs.
And then eventually he got hurt and he was hiding from them. And this little white girl comes out of him. He asks her to hide him and she says, "Hey, the N-word's over here," to the KKK. They don't show this next part, but they drag him off, they hang him, and they burn his body.
They lynch him.
Yes.
Ain't that a bitch?
So they say this in the comic. They don't even tell you that's what happened in this. They just say he died.
Yeah, it's too heavy. It's way too heavy for kids.
But yeah, so did they even show the KKK in this?
They mentioned, I saw a quick glance of the KKK and John Henry Irons in the background. I think it was near the end or during something in this movie. But yeah, it's a quick little second. Like, oh, KKK, John Henry. Awesome.
Yeah. So this news report's what sends John Jones over the edge. This is like, they're going to kill a man of different color. They're going to kill me if they find out who I am. So I'm going home.
Mm-hmm.
But before he could leave, the Flash shows up on TV. He's like, "Hey, the government's trying to catch me, telling me I'm a bad guy, so I'm retiring. Screw you guys. Good luck."
I don't like that. No, I don't like it. I get why he did it. I don't hate anything about that. I just found it I found it weird that he did like this. Because it seems like in the movie, people don't know who he is or liked him anyways. And so for him to be like a vigilante, come on screen, say, "Hey, I'm quitting. See ya." Most people didn't care.
What you don't have the context for is at this point, they forced all the other vigilantes to go into hiding and retire. Some of them were murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So now he was just trying to help. But if you're going to come after me, I'm not going to put my life on the line for people who don't even care about me, who are will kill me. Why would I risk my girlfriend and everything else for these people who don't even care?
Yeah, no, I got all that. It's just, I don't know. It just felt weird seeing that, I guess. I don't know.
So then we cut over to the Batcave where John Jones is giving Batman all of his files because he's leaving, and he's gonna leave it up to Batman to solve the cult problem. That's also not in the comics.
No?
No. John Jones actually calls Batman, and Batman shows up at his apartment because why the Martian Manhunter know where Batman's Batcave is?
Touched him.
He didn't know.
I don't know. Maybe he touched him one time that we didn't know about.
No. So it's just, they just wanted to put the Batcave in the movie.
Yeah, they want to show Batcave and they want to show other things later on. It's Batman.
So
you can't not show Batman.
So another thing. After this point, in the comics, Batman's only got one more scene. He doesn't show up at the end for the final fight at all.
Oh, him in a fight was ridiculous. Like, why is he doing this?
He shouldn't be there. They just inserted Batman in sections of this movie because he's Batman.
Yeah,
and
Batman.
It's just no reason for him to be there. And don't get me wrong, I love Batman. I
know.
I do a whole other podcast just on Batman. But Batman does not need to be in this movie as much as he is.
No, he doesn't. But it's Batman, so they're going to put Batman in every scene they can because it's Batman.
Stupid.
Very dumb. That fighter sequence at the end, like, he should not be here. This is too dangerous, unpredictable for Batman. He will die. This is stupid. Yeah, continue.
Then we cut over to the space mission where Hal Jordan and Rick Flag are going to space. Also different because in the comics, and I know I keep bringing the comics up.
Yeah, it's getting really old.
I'm not saying it's bad or different or anything, but I'm just explaining the differences here because they're big differences. Because Hal Jordan got kicked off the space mission before it even happened. He was being cocky, and Rick Flag's like, "I can't have you going up there if you're going to be reckless." So he's not even on the spaceship when they go up. It's Rick Flag and two other people. But as the ship's going off, John Jones shows up because he's trying to get on board. But Faraday catches him, and so John Jones knocks him out. But Faraday will die if he leaves him here unconscious underneath the rocket. So he saves him. He gets hurt and is captured.
Uh-oh.
The rocket goes up and malfunctions, which makes more sense, honestly.
What?
Makes more sense that it malfunctions, I think, because the comic version, Hal Jordan's not on it, like I said, but there was another guy up here. They say he went crazy in space and started sabotaging the rocket.
Yeah, it's lame.
So the rocket got sabotaged in space. And so now they're going to crash, but there's like bombs up there. but they put bombs on the spaceship.
It's just so dumb because typical Americans. Well, the aliens are bad. We gotta kill them. You're invading their land, guys.
It's just in case.
You're the ones that went there. Stop it. Like that's
Look.
Why go there and escalate it?
We're going to Mars.
It's so dumb.
We're going to Mars, and just in case, the Martians are evil, we need to bring germ bombs, regular bombs, and atomic nuclear weapons.
Which is flawed, even more so because on the thing, like, while... God, this is so dumb. They're flying into space, the thing starts malfunctioning, and the guy is flying like, hey, Jordan, don't fight, let's not go back because you know we could die up here. If you know you could die up here and accept that part, then why go to Mars and, like, murder the aliens? This is just stupid.
Well, this is also stupid. Hal Jordan's... Rick Flag wants to detonate the bombs because, you don't want a nuclear bomb going off on Earth. So Hal Jordan's like, no, I can land this thing instead of getting a fight. But in the comics, he's not even on the freaking thing to have it. So they call in Superman like they do here, and they're gonna go. He's gonna go save it, but Rick Flag does blow it up. There's also
continue. I'm sorry.
There's also a whole other group of superheroes called the Challengers that were in the comics that were completely cut from this.
Yeah.
And they were actually going to go try and save Rick Flag, but instead they're saved by Superman as Rick Flag blows up with it.
Just fine.
With the bomb. Yeah.
And there's another plot hole I thought about when I was watching the first movie the first time. Superman exists. Superman's working with the government, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why not just send him to Mars? Why do all of this? Why not say, hey, Soup, there's a Martian on a planet somewhere. Instead of just looking at every person on this planet, just go up to Mars, see what's up there, and tell us what's up there. Because you're cool with us, right? Why not just send him and just cut all this shit out?
Well, maybe they're afraid that if he's away from Earth too much, something terrible will happen and he won't be here to save them.
He's Superman. It would take him how long to go from there to the back? Like, there's life up there.
How far away is Mars?
Let's Google that real quick.
How long would it take to get to Mars?
You can't Google that because he's so goddamn fast.
Yeah, but he can only go as fast as, there's no friction in space. You know what I mean? There's nothing there. Him flying through space is not him flying. It's him.
It takes us about 9 months to get to Mars. So and Superman could do that in probably a day or two at most. Maybe at most a week because he's Superman.
All right, but a week without Superman.
It's nothing.
But then a giant island with dinosaurs shows up.
Yeah, at the end, after how many... They found out the Martian was there years ago. Years later passed, and they're doing this mission now.
I'm just saying.
So during the years of making this... Wasting so much money and doing this program, which they still could have been doing, which is fine, but hey, Superman, we think there's a Martian on this planet. Go fly there real quick and just see... what they are. Maybe it might initiate some bullshit because we sent our own ambassador there, but go send one there.
But what happens if
what's up?
What happens if there's a tsunami or volcano exploding?
People die.
Or
you can't save everyone.
Something like that.
People die. It's a natural disaster.
What happens if it's on America soil and
Superman's
not here? We can't have Americans dying, Marcus.
It's a terribly natural disaster. People die. I'm sorry, but this is a bigger thing. We just found a new life, new species of things on this planet.
Look,
yes, Superman, you are also an alien. Go to Mars real quick.
I don't have a problem.
Investigate this for us.
I don't have a problem with that plot hole. My bigger plot hole is Hal Jordan's escapes the spaceship and now is floating in space, and Superman somehow brings him back into the Earth's atmosphere without him burned into a crisp.
Yes.
So...
And all of which could have been avoided, but hey, man, you're a god. Go send your god ass to Mars and look at this for us. And be an ambassador because you already are that. Because that's your duty. You're an earthly resident god person who's nice to... That's your...
Maybe they
asked... I hated this part.
Maybe they asked Superman and he said, no, I don't want to go.
And I would look him in the eyes like, why are you saying no to this? There's a new species we found. First off, we all know you exist. So God is not a thing anymore for most people because you exist, you alien freak. Now, we found more aliens, which means there's no chance of gods. Just go, please. The man.
Well, I don't want to... What happens
even if the humans got there, you know how long the mission would have to take to even look for a creature on that planet? It's probably not, because they're going to be hiding.
No, I think there's a whole civilization on Mars in this continuity.
There is, but don't they hide invisibility? I know the creatures themselves can turn invisible, as Martian Manhunter does.
Yeah, but why would they hide?
Why wouldn't you hide?
What, are they afraid of a couple of humans?
Maybe. If I'd be afraid of humans that brought weapons like mass destruction with them, like what the hell are you coming to my house for?
why
and
would
bring
they
a damn nuke with you?
More likely, they just shoot them out of the sky.
You see, like it's just like I have problems with that, man. It's stupid. Just send Superman to do the thing. You have a god on your pay grade. Go let him do the thing for you. Continue making the space race thing for sure. But send Superman out. He flies already. He's immortal. Just send him out.
Anyway,
I'm sorry. This irked me.
Superman's yelling at Faraday for having bombs on it, and about keeping John Jones in prison and stuff, and how he doesn't charge the Martians and stuff like that. This is all added to this, not in the comics. So
I liked it.
Then we cut over to Themyscira, where Diana is training with one of her Amazons.
How do you say that word?
Themyscira.
Say it again.
Themyscira.
Themyscira. Okay.
Which is the Paradise Island that the Amazons live on.
You think I need accepted there? It's just because I'm a man that just get rid of me for that?
Yes.
But I'm black and shit like that. Can I be a slave for them? Like, what did they do to a man that gets there? Did they automatically kill him? Did they send him adrift? Like, what did they do with the guy?
Depends on what continuity you're in.
Would I have any chance at all to stay with that planet on that island?
No.
Can't make babies there. Like, I can't do anything to stay. I can't be a slave or some shit.
Well, no, because one, they're immortal, so they don't need to have babies. And two, they were slaves to Hercules in the lore, so they don't want anything to do with slavery.
So I can't just live there and be like, hey guys, it's pretty cool.
No.
I adapt to all your beliefs automatically. I'm not going to try to change anything.
No man is allowed to stay on the island.
What if I identify as a female, get a sex change or some shit? Like, hey guys, I'm a lady too. Then would they be cool with that? No. Would they be cool with transgender?
I don't know, but I don't think so.
That's bullshit. That's
because
that's up with them.
Because they are immortals, which means they're from ancient Greece, which means they don't have our sensibilities.
But weren't the ancient Greece pretty much open-minded people?
Not the Amazons. They're a warrior tribe.
But like, if I prove myself as a good fighter, as a somewhat bearable fighter,
no,
that's bullshit.
They were enslaved by bearable fighters.
There's got to be a way to nudge them on that.
No, not really. They're more likely to take you trying to stay there as an act of aggression, and then they will invade man's world and try to take over the world.
I'd be cool with that. That would try to make that act of aggression, because I find them really awesome.
So we're on Themyscira, and Diana, Wonder Woman, is sparring with one of her Amazonian sisters, but then she's like, "Ha! I betray you. I'm going to try and be the leader." What?
Right? Like, why are you doing this, man?
This doesn't happen in the comics, and doesn't even make sense in any continuity, because one, Diana in most lore isn't the leader of Themyscira. Her mother is. Two,
I thought so. I thought that was weird. Okay.
Two, they revere each other as sisters. They wouldn't just betray each other. I mean, they have issues with each other, but they wouldn't just outright attack each other. And it was just weird. I don't know why this was here.
It was just to add some drama that it does not play in later. I don't know.
It's just I didn't get it. Anyway, the Senator attacks Themyscira, but we don't get to see it. Then an alien crash lands on Earth named Abin Sur. When the Rick Flag blew up the nuclear bomb, he got caught in the blast, and so he's dying. So he needs a person from Earth who has no fear, and he summons Hal Jordan to him in a green explosion thing, and he gives Hal Jordan the ring, and Hal Jordan is now the Green Lantern.
And he tells him about the fight coming up ahead.
Yes, he was here because he's the protector of Sector 2814, which Earth is inside, and the center is here, so it's his job to come help, essentially. Then we cut over to the Batcave again.
Yay! Last time, I think.
I don't know why we're in the Batcave. This seemed
it's got to show someone. That's why.
Yeah, but this in the comic, and I know I keep going to that, but
Yeah, you purist.
so Batman calls Superman to have their conversation. This is where Batman reveals, we were in this together and stuff. They don't do that here. This is the big scene that, that shows they were working together the whole time.
Yeah.
So Superman shows up on they're outside on the cliff, but Superman lands, and then Robin's, hey, you really do know him, and he's excited to see him and stuff like that.
That's awesome. They show Robin.
And Robin's always been a fan of superhero, which is pretty cool, of Superman.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like this, and it shows that Batman learned I don't want to scare kids, so I want to adopt a kid. I would love to see more Robin in the movies too, man. I know everyone says that, but god damn it, let's get a good Robin.
And Batman changed his outfit to look less scary.
Yes,
I agree with you. I really like Robin.
So do I.
I like all of the Robins. I like most of the extended Batman family. I wish they would expand on them a little more.
Why is Hollywood too afraid? I know, it doesn't send a bad message. I guess, I just give me something.
I don't know. Their Hollywood sucks.
Apparently, the last Robin we had, was it the crappy? I don't want to mention those movies, but those movies, or is it the Schumacher ones?
What is his name? Who plays him?
Oh, damn it!
Chris O'Donnell.
Yes, was he he was last Robin
as of this review?
Yes, I know we have another one coming up.
We got a stupid, even worse one coming up.
Right? How do you do worse than that? My name's Robin. What? This is stupid. How you... Come on, Hollywood. We're not asking for much here.
Anyway, Superman and Batman in the Batcave, and Lois comes over to news and says, "Hey, a pterodactyl's attacking us."
That's when I was like, why are there dinosaurs in this movie?
And then Superman comes and stops the pterodactyl, but then Wonder Woman crashes her invisible plane. This is actually a pretty cool scene.
It is. It really is.
She's in an invisible jet or whatever the thing is, but it's covered in her blood.
Yeah, the cockpit is just drenched. It's what?
Yeah.
Who made a god bleed?
The center.
That's awesome. I think the jet's so stupid though. Why is it invisible but you can see her? It's just dumb.
I don't know. That's always been a thing.
I know. It's just the dumbest thing. But I'm glad we saw it again, though. It's pretty cool.
We cut over to Faraday and the Martian Manhunter bonding over chess. And in the comics, they built this up a little more, this whole them becoming friends.
Okay.
So I just want to put that here. Then another Lois report as the center attacks, essentially. And it's it looks like a giant brain, a giant rocket propeller.
See, I could see it being a giant clamshell. Is that the shape of it? But yeah, it's a big thing in this space, and then the Earth is
it's supposed to be an island kind of thing, but it looks like, I don't know, it's weird looking.
Hal Jordan sees this at a diner.
Yeah, and so he goes there, but before that, Barry Allen unretired from being the Flash.
Yes, his girlfriend knows that he's the Flash. What?
Yeah. So Hal Jordan is stealing stealing a spaceship from Carol Airfield. That's more explained in the comics, but whatever. He's stealing it, and Carol's like, "You're not going to say goodbye," and Hal kisses him. It was actually more tension or drama in the comics because he got kicked off the mission, and a bunch of insubordination stuff happened, and she's been looked bad as a boss by having him there and stuff like that. So this was actually their makeup scene in the comics, whereas this is just, hey, I'm going to go get myself killed by attacking a giant monster, It's
just, I love you. I love you. Yeah.
They actually didn't say I love you, but
I know.
In the movie they kiss, but in the comic he tells her he loves her, but she doesn't hear it because he says it under his helmet.
Oh, so adorable. I love comics, man. I love comics when done right. And then we get the superhero reunion.
Yeah, where the Flash shows up at the military base in this Green Arrow and stuff like that. All these guys are there, but the military,
who are the ones in black? Who are they?
They're called the Blackhawks. They are essentially just pilots. They're like a superhero team called Blackhawks. They're pretty old. Back in the 40s and 50s, there was a lot of military superheroes.
Yeah.
So,
reading the description of this movie, and it's the Justice League joined forces with the military. I was like, this sounds like terrible propaganda. I do not want to watch. And this movie's holding up a lot, and I'm happy.
So we got all the heroes at odds with the military because the military has been hunting heroes, and they're like, yeah, well, we're trying to stop us from trying to stop this giant monster. And then Superman gets pissed and he creates a shockwave. He says, "Stop it! You're working together. There's a giant monster about to destroy us all. Get over it." And then he makes a giant speech.
Yeah. Independence Day.
Kind of. It's funnier than that though, because Superman makes this giant speech and he's like, "Are you with me?"
Yes. I'm like, yeah.
And they're all like, "Yeah."
I'm right back and do this for myself, guys.
But then Superman flies off and says, "I'm going to go do recon." And then immediately gets his ass kicked and disappears for the rest of the movie.
I thought it's funny because like when he was doing the speech, he says, "Are you guys ready with me?" They did that. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if he got his ass kicked? And they did it. And I was just like, I'm dead. This is hilarious. Like he's literally gone like he's having the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he gets exploded by the center. And it crashes into the ocean and is gone.
I know if I would have saw that, like, I'm not fighting this thing. He just gets Superman. Oh, it's so good.
And hours later, Lois is like breaking down on the news. "Superman, our hero, is dead." And then we get another change from the comic as Batman brings Ray Palmer to the scientists to try and figure out a plan. In the comics, it was actually Adam Strange, who is in this. He's the guy with the white helmet with the fin.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and he's the one that actually brought Ray Palmer to the scientists. Batman, like I said, after that last scene with Superman, it's gone from the rest of the movie.
He should be.
So, but yeah, so he brings them, and Ray Palmer is the Atom. He can shrink. He's pretty much the Ant-Man of
DC,
if people are more familiar with Marvel. But in this version, he created shrinking technology, but it's unstable. So when he shrinks something, it becomes unstable and explodes. And they're like, that doesn't work. And then they think about it like, oh, right. Yeah, that'll work.
That's awesome.
They're going to shrink this thing and have it explode, essentially. So then we got our plan. So our plan is we're going to distract it with a bunch of people who are just going to go get killed. Then Hal Jordan and Ace, and in the comics there's another guy, just to be killed off, essentially. They're going to go into the center and drop bombs to continue to distract it even more for some reason, I guess. Meanwhile, since Superman's gone, they're going to have the Flash run super fast around this thing using the shrinking technology, so it shrinks the center.
Which makes sense, I guess.
And then we get our hero shot with all the heroes walking forward. Dun, dun, dun.
It's a good shot.
As they have the hero shot, Faraday's like, "There are no Democrats or no Republicans here."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he says, "There are no Hulks and no Doves here." Do you know what that's about?
No.
Well, it took me a little while to figure it out. Because in DC continuity, there's a superhero group called Hulk and Dove.
Oh.
And I was like, is that what that was about? And then I realized, it's like, oh, no, duh, it's even stupider than that. Hawks are people who want to have military, want war. Doves are people who want peace.
Okay, that makes sense. That's why I figured the Dove part was. I didn't know what Hawk was. That makes sense.
When a politician is like, we need to go out there and do more military stuff and more war, that's hawkish. It's called Hawk.
I never heard that term before in my life.
Yeah. And
never.
It took me a minute to figure out why he said there are no more Hawks and Dove. And I was like, oh, that's stupid.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So what I haven't mentioned is up to this point, John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, has been connected to the center psychically. And the closer he gets to it and the more involved, he starts to get taken over by the center.
Yes.
So in the comic, that happens here, and Faraday's there and he tries to help him, but he gets grabbed by this giant tentacle, grabs the two grenades and jumps into the T-Rex's mouth and blows up that way, which causes John to be better somehow and just go fly off. In the comics, it's way better because John Jones is losing it and he's telling Faraday to kill him. He can't become part of the center. And Faraday has some kinds of powers and actually draws out the center's influence over him and dies saving Martian Manhunter.
Oh.
And so his sacrifice actually means something, which makes Martian Manhunter upset, and he goes into the fight, essentially.
Yeah.
It was just better done in the comics.
That sounds better.
Then, we get a bunch of shots of, the Black Hawks doing things, Adam Strange killing things, Faraday sacrificing himself. Wonder Woman showing back up, even though she's still bleeding and stuff.
Batman in the fight for reasons.
Yeah, just because we need to show Batman in the Batplane.
I laughed because like this is ridiculous.
Because he gets saved by Green Arrow in his own plane.
Oh, I hated it.
Green Arrow was actually in the plane though, flying in the comics though.
Yeah, I know he does that.
But yeah, it was stupid. Anyway, Hal Jordan and his buddy goes into the center, and apparently he creates illusions within it.
Yeah, it's like its own little universe in there. It's pretty wicked.
And you know, it's consuming the planes and stuff. So they're trying to blow up the bombs, but they can't. So they're about to do the self-destruct thing. But then the Green Lantern ring takes over, and Hal Jordan becomes the Green Lantern and is able to blow up the bombs and escape the center. It was different in the comics, but that doesn't matter.
No, keep going. I like it.
It's just that Hal Jordan had already used the ring before. They showed him using the ring, and he decides to not use it in the fight here because he's waiting for the Guardians to talk to him and tell him what he's supposed to do with it. And he's like, I guess I'll wait for them, and then I'll just go to the spaceship and try to fight it my way as a pilot.
Interesting. I like it.
And then the Guardians say, hey, you need to, use the freaking ring before you die here. And
yeah, like I like it this way. I like that we never saw it up until this point.
Abin Sur in the comics explains how to use the ring to the Green Lantern.
Yeah.
To Hal Jordan, like in depth.
Yes.
So it didn't really do it in this one, which is fine.
Yeah, that's why I had kind of issues. Like, if you're not going to explain to him how to use it, then how's he know how to use it later? But whatever.
Well, I guess that all that was enough of a distraction because now the Flash is ready to go with his proton pack, and he runs around the center as fast as he can and uses it. It disables him, and it's blowing up. The Flash did it, but it's moving towards land. It's going to destroy everything. So Hal contains it within the ring, throws it into space. It explodes, and the day is saved.
Yay!
But we have a few loose ends here because a ship shows up.
That's ridiculous.
And out of it,
So stupid.
Aquaman has Superman in his. He says, "Hey, this guy's asking for someone named Lois." Now, Aquaman did not play a large part in the comics at all. He was in it like 2 scenes, but they establish he was there beforehand.
Okay, so here they didn't know who the hell this guy was. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
No, they didn't know who he was, but they showed him underwater. Like, hey, this thing's rising up. Like, they should establish him as a character beforehand. So it didn't just, hey, Aquaman's just here.
This sequence is so stupid, but I liked it.
And Superman's back, and the day is saved. And then we get a bunch of still images, which are pretty much just panels from the comics. And
yeah, JFK's talking over it.
And JFK was narrating over the end of the comic too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had him's narration, this whole speech over these scenes, and it's just like. When bad things show up, they show Lex Luthor. They show Rick Flag's son talking about him being a hero. They show Superman being, posing and stuff. And when the speech finishes with JFK, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the movie.
It wants you to be a better person and be a hero and to treat everyone with respect. That's the message. Don't be a dick. The mission is don't be a dick, people.
Yeah, that's Justice League: The New Frontier.
It was surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good. I was dreading going into it. I didn't like the description of it. Like, this seems like dumb propaganda. But damn it, did I enjoy it. It was a love letter of a film.
It definitely was, kind of. It was more like putting superheroes into real-world events.
Yes.
Instead of them being isolated in their own comic worlds while those events were happening.
And I think it's our first time we've seen this in our reviews, I guess, right? Or no?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean...
So it's kind of refreshing in that aspect. It's been done to death nowadays in our real life timeline. But this is refreshing, and I enjoyed it to death.
It was good. Definitely. What are you giving it?
I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So they're like I said, there's things I like. You could definitely see it should have been more and longer.
Yes,
but it being an hour 14, an hour and a half, I guess, on TV, it did what it did, and it did it well. And there's not much complaint. I have my issues. I've invented like some loopholes, plot holes, some small things, but overall, nothing that broke it for me. Nothing's like that's awful. This is good. This is well made. It's competent. And I
I'm
like that.
actually glad that we're going into the MCU off of a good movie, because if we came off of a bad movie, we'd be like, yeah, this is 10 times better. But now it'll be more of objective with it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because if you don't know, we don't normally broadcast the next episode, but the next episode is going to be Iron Man, and we're going to be starting the MCU.
What do you give this movie real quick?
I think I'm at a 7 too. I was thinking about an 8.
Yeah.
But I think the comic book's an 8 or a 9. And I can see that. I think the movie's a 7.
And that's what the movie did for me. Like, it made me want more of it. I actually wanted more. I wasn't happy I was done with, like, I'm glad it's out of my life now. Like, no, I want more of this. So I could definitely see myself reading the comic series. I'm like, oh, this is really good. I'd be the asshole, like, recommending this to everyone for the next 10 years because the last comic I read, like, read it, guys, this is good. So, yeah, overall, it's a good movie.
Yeah. And we were due for a good movie. Anyway.
I was going to ask, were you going to say something important or no?
I was just going to end the podcast.
No, not yet. I was going to ask, I don't know if I should ask it now or like in our next episode, but I was going to ask you, before we start the MCU kickoff, how do you feel about these movies before the MCU became a thing? Like, from all the movies you've done so far, like, what's your take on these? And do you have a favorite so far before the MCU changes the whole landscape of superhero films?
Yeah.
Do you want to answer that next episode?
I can answer it here. My thing is, I can't judge it all by a whole. I got to judge it by generation, essentially, because you go back to the Superman era, all those kind of movies, all the Superman early movies, and even like Swamp Thing, and just that whole era is more nostalgic.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And even going into the first 2 Batman movies.
Yeah.
But, like, the 80s movies are so different than the 90s movies. And then the 90s movies are so different from the 2000s. The 80s movies, no matter how bad they were still 80s movies. And they were enjoyable on some level.
You bring up a good point, though, saying that the 80s versus the 90s versus 2000, they all have their own identities, right?
Yes.
I feel now they're all
the same.
Yes. I never thought about that. From this point, 2008 until now, they're all, for better or for worse, the same. Even the bad movies.
They're all kind of feel the same.
Huh.
But like I said, the 80s movies, even though there was a bunch of them that were really bad, they still felt 80s, and there was just grittiness to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then the 90s movies are hit and miss, essentially.
Yeah, they have that 90s factor to it.
Yeah, there's a point between 90s grittiness and then 90s extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you got the 2000s just bad quality of them all.
But like, you see where it's going. You see that they're trying actually to be more faithful or whatever.
But even the good movies in the 2000s aren't the greatest movies in the world either. No. You know what I mean?
Like the X-Men are good, but you see, like, okay, they're laying down the brickwork for the next generation of the X movies coming out.
Right, but even like everyone loves Spider-Man 2. But even that movie's not the greatest movie ever made,
No. Just at the time it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, and so it's hard to just say, these movies before the MCU are all the same, and so I think this or I think that.
Oh, that's fair. That's fascinating. I just never thought about it like that. Like, I know everyone has issues with the MCU, like, once they found the formula to stick with the formula, and that's definitely a problem. But, like, yeah, before that, they all had their own generation of identity. That's fascinating. That's really a take. I like that, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how it is,
Yeah. I kind of miss that. Like, again, even through all the crap we've just sat through and just watched, I am going to have a nostalgia for.
But it's also the fact that it's no longer generational. It's more of company wise. Like, yes. Sony feels, all the Sony superhero movies feel like the MCU movies because they're Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. Whereas you look at the DC, they don't feel like the MCU movies. They're not the same formula, but they're bad in different ways.
Yes.
So the differences are there, but it's more company-wide than generational-wide.
Which I think, I guess as I'm living it now, I feel that's worse. But maybe it's not.
No, because, like, the thing about back then, there's only like one Marvel movie, but like in the 90s, all the Marvel movies and DC movies felt the same. They didn't feel like two distinct companies, you know what I mean? They were all just 90s superhero movies.
Yeah.
Whereas this day, a Marvel movie feels like a Marvel movie, and a DC movie feels like a DC movie.
Yeah.
So it's just, you gotta pick your poison there.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I guess I just say I'm saying it feels worse now because I'm living with it because I like DC content more. So it being bad is like it hurts my feelings. It hurts me saying it's worse.
Yeah, I'm more of a DC guy too. I only read DC comics. I don't even read Marvel comics. But the Marvel stuff is so much better.
And I hate saying that because it's good. Like I'm glad it's good.
As far as live action movies and stuff go, they're just better at it.
Yeah.
But they're not the characters that I'm very familiar with, Yeah,
I like the DC characters more. I hope DC will someday get to that point, and maybe as we're still reviewing, they'll get to that point.
I mean,
I don't need them copying Marvel's way of doing things. I just get them on Marvel's level.
I think they're on the right track with the Batman movie that just came out not too long ago, and stuff like that. Like they have Aquaman and Shazam, and it's starting to feel like its own thing.
Yeah, but I feel me predicting this now, I feel that's like a falsitude of happiness. Like we're getting like a slew of good stuff right now, but I just feel it's gonna go back down somehow, and for some reason, I don't know why.
But yeah.
So I think like we're kind of in a small golden age of DC films.
People thought the same thing back when Iron Man came out.
Yeah. No, I want it to go. I'm not saying it's going to. I really want it to be good and stay good.
That permeation is how Iron Man came out. It's good, but it's going to get bad again. So they're all superhero movies. There's differences to make.
Yeah.
So it happens. You just got to wait until they cross that line, essentially.
Yeah, well, that's true. Are you excited to get into the Marvel stuff? The MCU, the phase 1 at least of the MCU, the DC stuff?
Not really.
Why not?
Because now we're going into a territory where I've seen all of these movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing really new about it. So
yeah, it's just rehashing.
And now we're going into stuff that we actually like, but now that now we're gonna have to tear it apart.
Which I'm fine with. I think it's gonna be hard to tear some of this apart though, because some of it is genuinely good. And so I know tearing apart is not reviewing. If we're gonna review, we're gonna review good and bad. But I don't know.
But when you look at something with a critical eye from start to finish, you start to see the flaws.
Yeah, TJ, welcome to my life. I've been doing that since day one of film school. I didn't like Avengers when it first came out, TJ.
No, well, that's because you're stupid.
I was a film student at the time. I know it's a good movie, but there'll be things I'll complain about that we get to that movie.
Well, we know you're pretentious and art house. We get it. Just by the picks you make us watch. All right, I'm done talking to these idiots. We've been going for too long.
Yeah. You egg suckers, go f*** yourselves.